Okay, you're gonna ask. Okay, John Wesley's use of, because he has some guidelines for money. I was like, isn't that prosperity gospel also?
Who?
John Wesley.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. A good question.
Prosperity, right?
It is not, but it's a good question.
Okay. Let's. Yeah, if you can watch by the phone to make sure it's coming through, and we're going live. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Josh Wonders Why. We're coming live from the online studio here, and appreciate you watching us tonight. I'm here as always with the talented Pastor Kelly, and she's going to answer all of our questions tonight.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
We'll be here for a while.
So Josh Wonders Why, as just a weekly discussion we have on Mondays, typically just to discuss whatever's on our mind. This month we've been focusing on thankfulness and gratitude. So 2 Mondays ago we started talking about gratitude and how we could be more grateful. And I figured we have some topics to talk about happiness. Mm-hmm. We weren't able to meet last week because you were sick and under the weather.
Sick.
Hopefully you're well now and you're not contagious, right? I should probably put up a divider between us or something.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm better, but I haven't got my voice back all the way. So
okay.
That's
we got to
fun.
answer a lot of questions, though.
Okay.
So tonight we'll be answering the question with sort of the happiness and gratitude is, does money buy happiness? That's the age-old question, and we'll be able to answer it, unpack it, and Kelly will give us all the details on that. But before we get into that, I did want to also go back. We're in the middle of this 21 days of gratitude. So 14 days ago, actually, because it just so happens on Monday, I don't know, it just worked out well. 14 days ago, we started it, 21 days of gratitude, every day posting something you're grateful for, just to continue to keep a grateful mindset. So I've been appreciating and enjoying reading everybody's comments on the post. I was a little worried that after about the third day, people will get tired and say, I don't want to do this anymore. But people continue to post on it and show gratitude. So
I missed the other day, but I went back and put something down.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was curious, what'd she post on the old one from yesterday for?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's been fun. So we'll continue that through next Monday, because next Monday will be the 21st day. So we'll have some discussion next Monday to talk about gratitude some more. But keep putting those posts in there and keeping us all happy and learning more about what makes people grateful. I think
we got some people watching with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm confused by the stats on here because it shows 0. So I'll trust that you're...
Well, I don't know if that's because it's going through your...
okay.
Yours or something.
I won't even bother looking at this. You can,
I don't know.
Can moderate the comments as well.
Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Yeah, it says that 5 are watching. Oh, hi, Paige.
Great.
Hi, Cindy.
I think a majority of your gratitude posts are pictures of cats or gifts
that
of
is
cats.
not true.
I think that's your
that
fallback.
That is not true. But I'm very grateful for my cats.
And I'm grateful for all of you for commenting. Like I said, I was like, I don't know if people are going to keep this up, but 14 days and people continue to post. So keep it up. Got a week left, and then, appreciate that. So, what was I going to put down? Oh, I meant to add something else, but I was thrown off. So let's get into that. Let's talk about, does money buy happiness?
Hi, Cindy.
And the short answer is, it depends. As usual, it depends. And it's probably more complicated. So what I want to start in...
That's one of my favorite answers. It depends.
It depends?
Yeah.
That's your answer for everything when I ask you.
No, because last time you asked me a question and I said no.
What was the question I asked you?
I don't remember, but I said no.
With gratitude?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I just remember going, nope, next question. So
I want to talk about, there's a couple studies that were conducted over the past 15 years to try to understand and correlate, does having more money correlate to more happiness? So I want to discuss about those studies first, and then what I want to get into is then pick your brain about I guess there are certain churches that teach and preach the prosperity gospel. So I want to unpack that a little bit, understand where that comes from, and what's the justification behind that, and just go from there. And if you have any questions, Kelly's gonna have all the answers. If you have any questions about this or anything, put them in the chat. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to see it on the screen tonight. I won't be able to monitor it, so I'll rely on Kelly to tell me if there's any questions or comments.
I'll keep an eye out.
Okay. So let's start with the studies. So I mentioned there were 2 studies.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Sorry. Hi,
That's
Tony.
fine.
Hi, Jan. Okay, I'll stop saying hi now.
Everyone wants to hear all the studies. Man, So there were 2 studies that were conducted about 10 years apart. There was a first study that was conducted back in 2010, another study in 2021. And what these studies looked at is they wanted to see what the relationship was between a person's income and their overall level of happiness. So, and they took data a little bit differently. So the 2010 study, essentially this guy surveyed about 450,000 volunteers, sent them a survey once a day, and just asked yes/no questions about, did you smile or laugh a lot yesterday? Did you experience happiness a lot of the day yesterday? How about enjoyment? Did you experience that a lot? So asking about what happened yesterday, and just saying yes or no if they were happy, right?
Now, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was this just a United States study?
Yes.
Okay.
It was. I think both these studies were just United States,
Okay.
if my understanding. So he did this study, just yes or no questions, and just asking people about the day they had from, I guess, yesterday. So he looked at data based off of that, and he also had income levels of the people that he surveyed. So we have that data set, and then flash forward to 2021, a different, I think he's a psychologist, maybe he's an economist, did a different study in 2021 where he did have about 34,000 volunteers, so much less, but he did something they called real-time experience sampling. So he had this app on the smartphone that people could download the app, and what he would do is ping them random times throughout the day and say, on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you right now at the moment? So they could basically, as opposed to giving a yes/no from the day before, they gave what is my real-time happiness level, and they're actually able to rank it on a sliding scale between 1 and 10. So we have these two different data sets that were taken 10 years apart, and they actually both of the people that conducted their surveys actually collaborated on one final study that was, I think, posted last year or something. But what they found out is, yes, for the most part, if you have more money, you're more happy. Now, besides that...
Now, did they define happy?
How did they define happy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I just think that makes
emotional
a difference.
Well-being, I guess.
Okay.
Is how I define it.
Emotional well-being. All right.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. How do you define happiness? Because different people could define it different ways,
yeah.
right?
And, I think, I feel like I read that article maybe, and one of them said happiness is emotional well-being, but then they were also rating satisfaction.
Yeah, there's different one that I might get into, but they were talking about life satisfaction.
Yeah, so
I'm talking about happiness.
It kind of depends on how you define happiness.
It does, and that is very, it depends on the definition of the person that's answering it. So what they found is that for the majority, actually for 80% of the people, happiness continues to rise with income. Now, I'm going to stop right here and say that's what they're getting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have more money, you're happy. It could also mean that happier people make more money. If you're more happy, you'll make more money, right? But that's a study they show.
Huh.
But what's interesting is that's for 80% of the people. But 20% of the people, which they ranked as maybe just they were more unhappy in general, they found that the happiness did increase to a certain amount, and then it plateaued. And that amount they found, the study back in 2010 and also the study in 2021, when you correct for inflation, found that once it hit $100,000, they were no more happy as they made more money, regardless of what their income level was. So it is interesting that for 80% of the people that are happy or extremely happy, they continue to be more happy as they made more money. But for the minority that were probably more unhappy in general, it peaked at 100,000 and then just stayed flat, which is an interesting study. So that's what I say, it depends. It depends on if you're generally unhappy, or if you're happy, then maybe money could give you more happiness, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe. So the reason for the plateau also is they think that for people that are unhappy, some of the more money could help mitigate the unhappiness up to a point. So like if you're dealing with problems that money can fix, like bills and just normal life, that could help out. But after a certain point, it can't really fix if you're depressed or going through grief or if you have issues. But it does say that up to until your basic needs are met, maybe. Yeah. And after that, it's like I'm just an unhappy person in general, right? Because I guess they give an example, if you're rich and miserable, money won't help you feel more happy. And that's something that money won't,
Yeah. And money won't buy you friends. I mean, it may seem like it, but if they're only there for the money, then they're not really friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think that's interesting. They did find that so a couple things to note. So it's funny, we talk about, does money buy more happiness? Well, based on the study, it does seem like if you have more money, you'll be more happy. However, they say that more money on its own doesn't actually guarantee better happiness, right? There is a correlation between money and happiness, but it's slight. Like there's lots of other things that affect your happiness, right? There's your emotional well-being, your social connections, exercise, living in the moment, etc. And none of that really dominates over others. It may have a cascading effect, but I guess if you have lots of money but you have no friends and
or your health is bad,
so it's something to consider, that money on its own does not guarantee happiness.
Right.
Now it can boost happiness, but other factors will also help improve your well-being as well. And probably the study has shown that other factors maybe impact your well-being more than money alone. And then also, let's see, what's the other thing they found is that. Okay, that's pretty much it. So it's interesting when I find the study that I sent to you, is that it did, from those studies, they did find out that happiness, or money did buy happiness, but I mean, that's, you got to take.
Not they would admit that, but and they're also, if you're working all the time to get that money, then you're sacrificing other things that would probably make you happier, like time with your family or time out in nature, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that feeds us into knowing that money doesn't necessarily buy happiness. Let's change over and talk about the prosperity gospel.
Okay.
So I asked you a couple questions, and if you have any other questions, feel free to chime in. But first of all, I was wondering if you could help us understand what it actually is.
So I took some notes so I don't ramble here, but
That's fine.
prosperity gospel is the belief that salvation through Jesus includes freedom from not only death and damnation, but also poverty, sickness, and other bad things. It's also the belief that God wants believers to have prosperity in this life, and that it's God's will for them to be blessed with physical health and material wealth. Poverty and illness are seen as the result of sin or not believing hard enough. Okay, that was my interpretation. Not believing hard enough. There's the phrase "name it and claim it." That's part of the prosperity gospel. Also, seed money. You give to my ministry, and God will give back to you. Yeah. So that's kind of what it is.
So the reason I'm not making a lot of money is because I'm not believing hard enough. If I believed harder, I would be better set.
According to the prosperity gospel preachers, if anything is wrong in your life, it's probably because of sin, or you're not giving enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So you should give more.
Okay.
To get more. I don't know. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
This is all tongue in cheek because it's so unbiblical.
So what's the origin of how that came about then?
So I discovered that the origin is thought to be in this 19th century movement called New Thought, which I'd never heard of. But it has influences from various religions. It's not like a religion or, religious thing, system, whatever itself, but it takes, stuff from Christianity, stuff from Buddhism, here, there, everywhere. And it really is focused on positive thinking and manifestation.
Okay.
Now, I think there's something to positive thinking as far as I think sometimes we do think or say things into happening. If I say, if I get up in the morning and go, oh, this is going to be an awful day. Well, I'm probably going to have an awful day because that's where I've put my mind. And, there's something to the mind-body connection. And if you are, things that happen in our mind, like depression or anxiety, that affects us physically. Trauma comes out through the body. There is that connection. But I don't think you can positive think yourself out of cancer, or not that a positive attitude won't help, with healing or recovering or whatever, but you know, it's not biblical anyway to, you know, be able to just think yourself out of your problems.
Mm-hmm.
But positive thinking helps. So, and then we have Oral Roberts, who was kind of one of the original prosperity gospel preachers, evangelists, and he's the one that would talk about seed money. You know, you give to my ministry, God will give back to you. Kenneth Hagin, Word of Faith Ministry, he's really responsible for the spread of it. And then there's Kenneth Copeland, of the many cars and jets that he says God wants him to have, and Jesus paid for.
That, yeah.
Yes, and Jesus paid for them.
So these ministers or these evangelists, they say, give to my church, give to me, because you'll be more prosperous and God will bless you more in your life. But the money that he takes in, he doesn't go back to give to the community. They typically would keep it for their own internal use and well-being.
Well, maybe not all.
Some of the people that abuse it, maybe
they wouldn't keep it all.
Yeah.
But this is what I read about Kenneth Copeland, that he has a total fortune of $760 million, a $6 million worth Lakeview home, and 3 private jets. Now, he was interviewed by a woman from Inside Edition, and if you haven't seen that video, you really should go watch it, because...
Is this Kenneth Copeland?
Kenneth Copeland, okay. Yeah, because it's kind of crazy. He's a little scary, but he told her that he needs to use 3 private jets because, he said, demonic environment on commercial flights are not good for a preacher. He called flying commercial getting in a long tube with demons.
So are these... Sorry, I was letting it sink in while I was about to ask my question. That's hilarious. So are these evangelists that are maybe abusing the prosperity gospel more than it needs to be abused, are they... I feel like they're just using Christianity for their own benefit. I mean, was he actually trained? Did he go to the theological seminary or something?
Apparently he was Oral Roberts' chauffeur, is what I read.
Well, that's good enough. That's like if you're a chauffeur for
so
a major...
I think he learned from Oral Roberts.
Okay. But what about Oral Roberts? Does he have, did he get a degree in...
I don't know. I mean...
theology?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or are they just taking advantage of people, and they're just exploiting Christianity for their own benefit? But
sometimes I think that some of them do it because they want what they want.
Yeah.
And then they want to excuse themselves, or what's the word I'm looking for? God wants everybody to have a lot of money. That's why I have a lot of money, rather than, just being truthful and saying, I have a lot of money because I want a lot of money, and you people are going to give it to me.
Do they feel also maybe they are religious and they feel like God is calling them to do this, like God wants them to have this money? Maybe they are somewhat... Maybe.
Yeah. Now, I think, like Joyce Meyer is one of the prosperity gospel preachers. I think they do some good work. And I think they do a lot of well digging in other countries. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what they say they do. So, but at the same time, you have to figure out, okay, well, how much should a pastor make?
Yeah.
Is there a cutoff? Can a pastor not be wealthy? And what's your definition of wealthy? But, and some of them will say, why shouldn't Christians have some of the money. You know, why do the non-Christians, why can they have all the money they want? Why can't Christians have all the money they want? You know, and I don't have an answer for, you know, what's the cutoff, but I think you have to. I think you have to check yourself as a pastor, as a televangelist. I think you have to check yourself, and I think a lot of times they're just not held accountable either.
Yeah.
You know, like the bakers, they weren't held accountable, and their greed got them into a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you know if do they quote any Bible verses to justify the prosperity gospel?
Yeah. And Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given to you. The problem is a lot of these, they just take the verse.
Yeah.
They don't look at the context because it's kind
inspirational.
of funny.
Yeah. With God, all things are possible, right? I mean, they're very
that's another one
taken out of
Yes,
context.
and that's Matthew 19, and Jesus is talking to the rich young man, you know, and he says, well, if you want to be perfect, then go sell all your belongings and come and follow me. And he went away grieving. So then Jesus said to the disciples, truly I tell you, it will be hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. And then the disciples were like, well, then who can be saved? But Jesus looked at them and said, for mortals it is impossible, but for God all things are possible. So, you know, that's out of context.
Yeah.
You know, he just told somebody to give up everything and they refused to do it.
Yeah.
What does that have, you know, what does that tell you about prosperity gospel? There is in the third letter of John. Oh gosh, my husband. All right, let's see. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health, just as it is well with your soul. Okay, don't we all wish that for people? That doesn't mean that, you know, God's not going to let anybody get sick unless he's mad at them or they have sin or something. I'm afraid we all have that. So, let's see. James 4:2. You want something. They pull out. You ask and do not receive. You do not have because you do not ask. That's the verse that they'll use. But it says, you want something and do not have it, so you commit murder, and you covet something and cannot obtain it, so you engage in disputes and conflicts. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly in order to spend what you get on your pleasures. So let's look at the whole context of the verse, right?
Well, that's funny. That's a good one.
And then in Malachi, there's the verse that says, you bring the full tithe into my storehouse and see if I don't, you know, pour out blessings on you. Mm-hmm. So that's taken out of context as well.
That's interesting that they took that out of context for their own good. But it's interesting because I was thinking about this, you're saying this, and what, after Jesus died, what did the first Christians do in Acts? They pulled their resources together as community and dished them out as needed for people that needed them, right? They didn't say, Peter didn't say, hey, give all the money to me. I'll dish it out, but I'll take like 75% just for managing the money, right? No, Peter didn't say that.
Because I need a new horse. I need a new donkey. I need 3 donkeys.
It is interesting that I was thinking about that. I was like, well, you know, that's what the first Christians do. They did the exact opposite. They said, let's pull all the money together in our community and share it as needed.
Yeah. I think prosperity gospel preachers often want to pool all the money in their bank account.
Yeah.
They don't want to share it. They're counting on God, so,
Yeah.
Hey, God, these people, they gave me all this seed money, so go ahead and bless them. But I'm not going to bless them, God. That's up to you.
That's interesting. So I guess I was going to ask about something else, but I wanted to cut real quick. There was a study I came across. I heard it in a podcast years ago, and I found it was real interesting. So there's a study that was done over in Africa, actually in Ghana. And in Ghana, I guess, at the churches there, they're heavily Pentecostal churches over there. And I guess they do preach the prosperity gospel. And what I read from this study is that the reason individuals give to church is that their expectation is give the church as an institution and it would disperse funds in times of need. But also, they use their public giving to send a signal that they are good community members to other church members, so they expect the other church members to help them in times of need. So, hey, I'm a good community member because I'm giving to my church.
Yeah.
You can, you can trust me and you can give back. But also, the members believed the church is also believed to help settle encounters for the divine, such that they say church members should make donations to the church with the expectation that the church they would be protected from negative shocks, such that the church will intervene with God to say, this person's a good giver, don't give him the disease, don't kill his family, right, or famine.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So anyways, the thought there in Ghana or in Africa for these Pentecostal churches is give to the church to help sort of, I guess the way the study came across is, are people giving to the church as sort of an offset for insurance? Because over there's no life insurance, right? So they did a study where they said, that they found a random sample of church members, and they said, we'll offer you free of charge, we'll give you a standard funeral insurance policy, right? And said, here, we'll give you free of charge, you get an insurance policy. And then also, to everybody in the church, not just a random sample of everybody, they gave them a small lump sum of money. And they saw what happened over the course of the year. The people that were offered and given the free insurance policy gave less to the church over that year than people that didn't have the insurance policy. So, it's slight, but it's enough to think of, people in other parts of the world when they don't have insurance policies or Medicare or aid medically, do they give to the church as sort of, a supplement for insurance, right? Thinking the church will help them in times of need, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
interesting.
It's just different. I mean, something we don't consider over here because I think we're all well off. So it's just we're giving to the church, but maybe it's part of this, right? I mean, maybe people like to show that they're giving to the church, so people consider them as. Because maybe it applies here as well. You like to show off, hey,
Maybe
I'm giving to the church. My name's in. I don't know if we had to keep a list of names of people that tithe, but you can trust me, right? But anyway.
Yeah.
I found that was an interesting study.
Okay, I have to pause and say, I'm sorry, Sandy. I was not talking about you and Dan Baker. I was talking about, as Dan said, Baker with the 2 Ks.
Baker.
Yeah. What are their names? Jim and
Tammy Baker.
Tammy Baker. Tammy Faye.
Tammy Faye.
Yeah.
There is an interesting biopic that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago that I don't know how true it was, but it's very interesting about their lives. I can't remember what it's called. I guess it's centered on maybe it was called Tammy.
Yeah, I watched that movie.
It was interesting.
And
I'm
it
not
was
sure
really
how true
good.
it was, but it was interesting to watch.
But it was really interesting to see her side of the story.
Yeah.
And it kind of painted her as she had no idea financially what was going on. So could be true.
I'm not sure how much I believe that, but that's what she was showing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, yeah, because that was something I knew very little about, and watching that, again, I don't know how true it is. So anyways, prosperity gospel, but the question I had for you then is, so we're based in the United Methodist Church, and John Wesley is known of having, here's my guidelines for how to make good use of money. I think it's like, earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can. How is that different than a prosperity gospel? It's not like John Wesley is saying, hey, earn all you can and save all you can so you can give all you can back to me and I can use it for another horse to go around.
Well, he wasn't taking money for himself. So John Wesley was very concerned about the poor and the destitute. I mean, 17th century England, you know, and he felt that Christians, especially Methodists, should be doing something about that. You know, that was the mandate that Jesus gave. And so earn all you can was his way of saying, don't be lazy. Go get a job and, you know, provide for your family and then be able to help others. Save all you can was don't be wasteful with your money and don't just spend it all for your own pleasure. Because that was another thing about Wesley was personal piety and devotion to God and to, you know, be using your time and your money for God. And then give all you can is help others, especially those who are helpless to provide for themselves, orphans, widows, sick, disabled. So, yeah, it wasn't really for him.
Okay, so it wasn't give all you can to me. It was give all you can to the community.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Give it away. So, you know, keep what you need to provide for yourself and your family, and then, you know, give your excess away. Don't hoard it. Okay. That's the same way with Jesus. Jesus wasn't against money. He just was against people hoarding it and not helping other people when you have the means to do so.
Well, that's what he did, and I'm going to butcher these, but he had a couple parables about that, about, you know, people living extravagant lives, giving money, and then there was a poor widow that spent forever trying to find a small, like a dime or a silver piece, just so she give it, and she was looked upon more favorably because, I don't know,
well, you might be thinking about the woman who gave the 2 coins.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking about that.
Yeah.
2 coins, yes.
And, you know, he said all these other people gave, you know, a good amount of money, but that was out of their excess. They're not going to miss it.
Yep.
But she gave all that she had. And he wasn't saying you should give all that you have. That's not what he was saying. He was just saying there shouldn't be a woman, a widow, who only has 2 cents to rub together and, you know, and there shouldn't be people that are that poor when you all have plenty. And, you know, so proportionally, she gave far more than anyone else.
And then, so not giving more money does not actually, in essence, make you more favorable to God, it sounds like.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think God has
but
favorites.
You give to Wesley, you give to support the community and help the needy and the people in the margins.
To do whatever you can.
Yeah.
You know, it's I think it's in James.
You don't give for you give for others.
Right. And I think it's in James who said, you know, what good is it if you see somebody without a coat in the cold and you go, have a great day. He didn't say it quite like that, but, you know, or somebody that doesn't have anything to eat and, you know, you're like, hope you have a good day.
Yeah.
And go home to your own dinner and just leave them hungry, you know.
Did you ever see the movie, it came out in the 90s, called Dumb and Dumber?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. Well, there's a scene where the 2 main characters they're out in the cold and they're in front of a campfire and they're trying to warm up, and one of the characters has gloves and the other guy has no gloves. He goes, man, my hands are cold. And he goes, oh, have my gloves. I'm wearing 2 pairs and my hands are getting too hot. Right? Anyways, that's what I thought of. So,
there you go.
So when we get them down to it, prosperity gospel, giving for your own prosperity is not the right mindset. Giving to help others is a better mindset. And God's not look more favorable on you if you give more money. So at the end of the day, does money buy more happiness? Again, it depends. It just depends on where your mindset is. If you're unhappy to begin with, studies have shown that probably more money up after a certain point will not make you more happy.
Mm-hmm. We have a question. Doesn't the Mormon model of giving follow that? Give and everyone knows you did and you will be taken care of by your church? And honestly, I don't know. I I don't know if that's the way Mormons do it.
We can follow up,
But-
maybe bring it up next
Uh-huh.
Monday. Let's check that out. The
Do your
Mormon,
homework on the Mormons.
theory, thoughts of giving. Yeah, that's a good question. The one thing I came across that is interesting, so like I said, if you're just an unhappy person in general because of life circumstances or, depression or grief or anything else, more money is not going to help you out. And like we said, it's not just money that boosts happiness. There's plenty of other factors. But what I have found, and I found we can end here, is that, studies have shown that money alone doesn't make us happy. But it is a resource that, if used correctly, can enhance our happiness, right? And the research shows that if we use money to buy experiences rather than things, or use it to help others, or to deepen or develop relationships, or even buying time by hiring others to do stuff you don't like to do. Like, if I don't want to...
Bingo, that's what we do.
I guess if I want to spend a weekend, putting up a fence or something, if the price is right, I'll hire someone to do it so I have more free time and, hang out with my family, right?
We just hire people to do stuff because we don't want to mess it up because we don't know how to do stuff necessarily. I mean, my husband knows how to do a lot of things, but,
Sure.
like if it comes to electrical work, yeah, we don't want to die.
That's
So
probably a good
we're
idea. Yes.
happy to pay other people to do things, to use their expertise. I'm happy to pay for that. So
I think it doesn't, money alone doesn't buy us happiness, but a resource, if used correctly, can enhance our happiness and help add to our overall psychological well-being.
yeah, and I think that we all know that giving to others blesses us more than it blesses them, and so it makes sense that giving to others, whether it's money or your time or your stuff, your attention, that always pays great dividends to the giver.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that would make you happier.
So there you go. So money does buy happiness, it seems like I said, but again, it depends, and it's always complicated. So appreciate you watching
Everything's
us tonight.
complicated,
It is, yeah.
Josh.
There's never a black and white answer, except for the one time you said
Yeah,
no,
the
but I
one
can't
time
remember
I
what that
said
is.
no. I'll
So-
think of it.
Hope you had a fun time discussing with us, learning more about if money buys happiness. We'll be back here again next Monday to have another discussion on gratitude and happiness. The topic next Monday will be, we talked about money and happiness, but the question I want to unpack next week is, does being part of a church community, being community with others, add to your emotional well-being and happiness?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so tune in next Monday. We'll have a quick discussion, but also we'll be at the 21st day mark of the gratitude. So I would want to celebrate that a little bit and maybe provide some thoughts and maybe give some what I learned over the past 21 days with everybody sharing their thoughts. So keep those comments coming. We got a week left of that, so